Welcome to Build Your Maverick Business, the podcast for underdog, outlier, and renegade entrepreneurs. Brought to you by Strange Creative Studio. If you dream of going off on your own and launching your rebel empire, but don't know where to start, you're in the right place. We'll teach you how to use mindset, branding, and practical advice to build a killer business and transform your world. And now, here's your host, founder of Strange, Alex Pitt.
All right, you lot, welcome back. I today am bulk recording, doing multiple episodes in one go. So do you know what? I'm not going to comment on what day of the week it is, any current affairs that are happening at present, or anything else that would be time sensitive, because honestly, Christ only knows what day this is supposed to be coming out. What I can tell you though is that I've mentioned this before, I think, that I'm doing a course at the moment, really, really good fun. And it's a course where there's about 1,000 odd other people doing it at the same time, right? There's a live call every week. All these people come on or watch the catch-ups and we all learn together. And then there's a Facebook group, which is going on at the same time. Lots of posts, lots of people very excited for the content. Some people who it baffles me how they manage to get their trousers on the right leg in the morning, because some of the questions, I think I'm just being a bit teacher's pet. But you know, when you just think, okay, but our course leader already answered that question like 3 times. Why are you asking that, Jeremy? Anyway, that's me being a little learning nerd. But no, it's really good fun. One of the things that's really struck me, especially looking in this Facebook group, is that a lot of the people who are doing this course, who are working through it, are currently working full-time jobs. And of course, this program, this online course that I'm watching is about business. It's about a certain part of your business and how to really smash that particular part. And it's made me very grateful in a lot of ways for the freedom of time that I have when it comes to my business, right? Because I can sit there first thing on a Monday morning with a cup of coffee and work through the content. A lot of these people are having to stay up really late in the evening or get up very early in the morning to be able to fit this in around their lives. And it just took me back. Now, I've always had this kind of entrepreneurial spark. And I remember my first business, I've mentioned on a previous episode, but my first ever business was making teddy bears out of clay when I was about 10. Wasn't to be, they all fell apart. But when I was in my 20s, I was working a full-time job. And I got that spark reignited. And I was like, oh, I'm going to start my own line of handbags. I tell you what, I actually got pretty far with it. I actually had a set of samples made. And I was very pleased with them. But unfortunately, that business wasn't to be. Another thing I want to talk to you about today is the way that I managed my time when I was trying to get that business off the ground. Like I say, I actually got quite far in the end. I actually had a product, I had branding, I had an ideal client, I had everything ready to go. And the way that I got there was by being very aware of my time and my energy while I was working this full-time job. I think of it now actually quite romanticized. I used to spend my weekends when I was working full-time. It would be my weekends drawing bags, lunch breaks, emailing factories, evenings poring over material swatches with a glass of wine. I fucking loved it. And I didn't mind giving up my spare time in my mid-20s, this was. Partly because I was only realistically going to spend that time playing PlayStation or going on Tinder dates. I didn't mind giving up that time because I absolutely loved it. To spend 9 hours a day working for somebody else gave me the fire under my arse to want to build something bigger and better for myself. Now, I realised that my experience, it was quite straightforward for me, right? I didn't have a family to think about. I didn't work a lot of overtime. My hours were pretty set. But from everything I've learned from my networks, from everyone I've spoken to about this, I want to give you some practical advice on if you are working a full-time job, how you manage it to get you a little bit further with this side hustle. Now, just quickly, I just want to touch on this. When I call it a side hustle, the only reason I'm using that phrase is because everyone understands what it is. What I would like to call it is an additional income stream. Okay, the reason why I want to call it an additional income stream is because side hustle implies that this should be something that stresses you out, burns you out, and causes you a lot of stress in the short term. Now, if you think of it as an additional income stream, it's a lot healthier, right? I don't want you all staying up until midnight, working as many hours as you can, not seeing your families and making yourself a little bit ill so you can make an additional income stream, okay? There are ways you can do this where you're not going to do any damage to yourself or your personal life. But this is a good way to do it, okay? If you're working a 9 to 5 now and you're dreaming of starting up your own thing, I really strongly recommend you don't quit your day job without some kind of overlap where you juggle both. Now, I'm saying that you won't make this dream work. But as much as fear is a great motivator to get things done, it's also very exhausting and can cause you to be very aggy with your loved ones. So it's much better to plan carefully and build yourself a foundation so that when you do throw in the towel at your full-time gig, you can do so with the wheels already in motion and with a bit of money coming in. Okay, with any luck, you will have already started a little money pot with a bit of a runway so you can go at it full time. Okay, so here are a few things to consider when you are working on your side hustle. First of all, do not start something you're not passionate about just for the money. Right? Think back to what I said about how excited I was to be spending my weekends and my evenings working on this business. Your energy will already be limited as this is a side hustle. This is a thing that you're doing in addition to a full-time job, which takes a lot out of you. That passion for what you're doing is the secret fuel that will keep you going. Like Popeye with his can of spinach. You won't be able to drum up the energy if it's something that you don't like. It will just feel like more work and it will not work out well for you. Okay. So make sure whatever you're doing is something you really look forward to at the end of the day. So number 2, prioritize your time. Right. Time is a very valuable commodity when you have this additional income stream and a full-time job. So you need to make sure you're managing that time effectively to ensure that you're not going to neglect either thing, right? Don't suddenly start being really shit at your job so that you get called in by Barbara from HR. But also don't just be spending time in the evening working on something that is going to be very flimsy at best. So the best way to do this, create a schedule that outlines your work hours and your side hustle hours and your personal time. All right, you've got to block out time for you, for your self-care, if you're sitting in the bath listening to Enya or whatever it is that you want to do. This will help you see where you can fit in your side hustle work without sacrificing your full-time job or your personal life. Book in the priorities and work back so that you can be realistic. Or you'll feel like you've let yourself down. Also, try to bulk together similar tasks so that your attention isn't being divided between lots of little things. So say on Thursdays, you only do your content plan. On Tuesdays, you only work on your product. That just means that you're really focusing on one thing at a time because multitasking is bollocks. Number 3, automate everything that you can. Okay, this leads nicely on from the last point. Because there are so many tools that you can get that you just whack everything in and it plays it all out for you. Buffer is one of my favorites because you can just pile in all your content, tell it when you want it to go, and it just goes. So if you're time blocking, like I've mentioned in the last point, you can say, for example, create all of your social media stuff on Sundays, a few hours in the afternoon, line it all up, and then it just goes out. Then when you're doing whatever else you're doing the rest of the week, you don't have to think about that. It's really important to remember that when you're doing multiple things at once, you're distracted, and that brain space and having a mess of things going on in your head is just as problematic as having too many things on your to-do list to actually get done. If your mind isn't clear, then you're just going to fuck yourself up. You're just going to get confused and flustered and say, no, don't want to, and leave it. So finally, and I mean, you knew this was coming from me, surely. don't neglect self-care. All right, please, please, please don't forget to take care of yourself. It is absolutely essential to take breaks, prioritize your mental and physical health, make time for exercise, hobbies, spending time with your loved ones. That's just going to keep you stay motivated. It's going to give you the energy to tackle both your full-time job and this side hustle that you're working on. So please remember, it is better to get there slowly and enjoy this wonderful thing called life in the meantime. Let this whole side hustle take you a little while longer if it means you're going to enjoy yourself along the way. Okay? All right, good luck, my loves. You've got this. Let me know what you're working on. As always, I love to hear from you. In the meantime, have a wonderful week and I'll catch you here next time.
Got an idea for a maverick business of your own? Learn how to build a powerful brand that will get people obsessed with our online program, not just a pretty logo. You'll learn a simple step-by-step framework that will kickstart your killer brand and help you find your raving fan base. Find out more today at strangecreativestudio.com.